Our exhortation this morning comes from Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1, which tells us not only to mortify our sins, but also to, quote, lay aside every weight, so that we might run with endurance the race that is set before us. Brothers and sisters, the life of faith is a race. And this is a race that is not a sprint across flat pavement, but a marathon whose course winds and shifts from straight paths to treacherous mountains, and from green pastures and still waters to the valley of the shadow of death. And in this verse, the author of Hebrews tells us that while our race requires us to avoid the big and blatant obstacles of sin, we must also remain alert to the smaller, less noticeable weights that threaten our perseverance in this race. Now, by weight, we mean the things in our lives that are lawful but not helpful, as Paul calls them in 1 Corinthians 6. Weights are those possessions, hobbies, habits, and activities that while they are not inherently evil, also do not actively spur us toward godliness. Weights are the things that make sin easier and that make holiness harder. And I'm, of course, being intentionally vague here, because one of the constant truths about weights is that they cannot be absolutized. They're individual to us all. While there are weights that are common to us in our culture, most importantly, the weight of digital consumption, chief among them, what a weight is for you might not be a weight for your neighbor. For some, it's alcohol. For others, it is money. For some, it is food. For others, it is games. What weighs us down depends largely on our place in society, our family history, and even our personality that God gave us. But there is one thing that is true of all weights, and is that we must remain watchful against them, because, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians 6, what was once lawful will in time dominate us and lead us into lawlessness. If they go unchecked, our weights slowly chip away our resolve, make us weak, and zap us of our energy. And so, brothers and sisters, this is not a call to be more careful. The author of Hebrews is very clear. We must lay aside our weights. Because of the subtlety of sin, even the good things in our life can become enemies of our race to overcome the world, the flesh, and the devil. And so, we must regularly sacrifice that which is temporal in order to secure our gain of that which is eternal. Here the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 9, verses 24 to 27 say this, "Do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable. So I do not run aimlessly. I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified." And the question before you and I this morning is this: do our lives bear witness to the reality of these verses? Do you exercise self-control in all things, like you're in a race for a prize that can really be won or lost? Are you aimless? Do your daily rhythms bear the marks of discipline and training required for this race? If not, Hebrews 12 tells us that it is ultimately because we're failing to look to Jesus, the founder and finisher of our faith. Jesus, though, has not called us to run empty-handed. He has given us a yoke, and He has laid on us His burden. But His weight holds a promise that none of our self-made weights do. His yoke is easy. His burden is light. And in bearing it, we discover strength to run with endurance toward the joy of our heavenly rest. The reason that we carry self-selected weights rather than shoulder the weight of the cross is because we think that they will make our lives easier and more pleasurable. But here is the paradox. The heavier the baggage that we choose for ourselves, the more it will crush us. But when we take up the burden of Christ, the burden that seems to us most unbearable, we actually find ourselves made light. In dying to self, we live. In losing our life for His sake, we gain it. In carrying His cross, we are carried by Him. That is the only way to run the race to the end, brothers and sisters, by laying down the load of weight and sin that we have made for ourselves and taking up the one that He has given us.